Hey Deckers, welcome to the first most played list of 2024. All game footage is captured on the Steam Deck so you can see why these games were the most played on the Steam Deck for January. Kicking off with number 20, down 4 places, embark on an ever-evolving adventure with Slay the Spire. This dynamic deck building game challenges you to craft a powerful deck from hundreds of potential cards, with each climb of the Spire being unique. Running at a perfect 60 frames per second on the LCD or 90 frames per second on the OLED, this is one that you can be playing for hours without any problems. At 19, holding strong, you are the sole survivor of Vault 111. Thrust into a post-apocalyptic world in Fallout 4, this open world RPG blends survival, crafting and a deep narrative where every choice shaped your journey. Again, a solid 60 frames per second on medium to high settings and not an issue on the OLED. The battery will only be around 2 to 3 hours on this one, but the story will keep you engaged for a lot longer. A triumphant return at 18, Warframe is a fast-paced third-person combat game set across a vast interplanetary system. Level up your Warframe, assemble an arsenal and uncover your potential in sprawling open worlds. This has had several updates and now has native controller support, and as you can see is running around 90 frames per second on the OLED. Depending on the map, it does drop down to 60 occasionally, but solid 60 frames per second on the medium settings on the OLED. You're going to have a fantastic time with this one. Back in action at 17, you're a high school student in a mysterious and supernatural tale in Persona 5 Royale. Navigate Tokyo, build relationships, and dive into the metaverse as a phantom thief. You'll steal hearts and change the course of your fate with every mask you take. Absolutely perfect game for Steam Deck here, running at a good 2 to 3 hours battery life on the LCD with solid 60 plus frames per second if you have it on an external monitor, or 90 on the OLED. With HDR support for those with the OLED as well, you're going to have a fantastic time. At 16, making a comeback, lead your own cult in Cult of the Lamb. This unique game combines resource management, exploration and intense combat. Fight off rivals, gather followers and dominate in a world filled with the dark and whimsical surprises. Not quite the game I was expecting on Cult of the Lamb, but it is absolutely phenomenal with its blend of build and randomly generated dungeons, running at a solid 90 frames per second on the Steam Deck OLED and 60 on the LCD with a good 3 to 4 hours playtime. Down 3 places to 15, battle out of the underworld in Hades, a roguelike dungeon crawler. As the immortal prince of the underworld, use mythic weapons and Olympian powers in your quest for freedom. Solid 60 frames per second on the LCD, and with OLED HDR support you'll be getting 90 frames per second very happily on this one, and a solid 4 hours plus playtime. At 14, down 6 places, Diablo IV throws you into a grim world where the eternal battle between good and evil rages. Slay endless demons, explore vast landscapes and gather legendary loot. Runs a little bit tough on the Steam Deck if you want high settings, but you will manage a solid 40 to 50 for a good 2 to 3 hours gameplay, and using our recommended settings you'll get a solid 50 frames per second on the OLED, and also can run this in HDR if you wish. Staying steady at 13, dive into the bizarre world of The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, a randomly generated action RPG. Navigate Isaac's twisted journey through incredible abilities and battle mysterious creatures with this roguelike shooter, which is full of surprises and secrets. Solid entry in the most played every single month with a good 5 to 6 hours battery life, easily with a solid 60 or 90 depending on the Steam Deck you're running on. Up 2 places to number 12 is Skyrim Special Edition, bringing the epic fantasy to life in stunning detail. As Dragonborn, battle dragons, explore a vast world and shape your story from warrior to wizard. Live out your fantasy in this timeless RPG with hundreds of mods all working on the Steam Deck, but some now paid for, so watch out for that. Running at a decent 40 to 60 frames per second on the Steam Deck LCD and a little bit better on the OLED, but you're going to manage a good 3 hours gameplay depending on the mods you're running. Down to number 11, Red Dead Redemption 2 sets you in the heart of America's rugged heartland as Arthur Morgan. Outlaw life is tough with federal agents hunting you down, but make tough choices and fight for survival in this expansive narrative-driven world. One of the best looking games you can play on the Steam Deck. You are going to get around 50 frames per second with our recommended settings, but you could cap this at 40 for a much more solid experience on both the LCD or OLED. At 10 down 5 places, survival is key in Vampire Survivors. This minimalistic time-based game tests your endurance against relentless enemies. Upgrade and prepare for each challenging run in this addictive roguelike adventure. Being in the top most played games every single month, it's slowly slipping down, but well worth still playing. With all the optimizations, this now runs at a pretty solid 60 frames per second on the LCD, even with all hell breaking loose, and around 60 to 90 on the OLED as well. Down 5 places to number 9, experience the thrilling life of crime in Grand Theft Auto 5. Navigate the lives of 3 very different criminals in Los Santos. Engage in heists, evade the law, and survive in a city of chaos and opportunity. With our recommended settings, you will be able to play this at a solid 60 frames per second, even with medium to high settings on both the LCD and OLED Steam Deck, and it is well worth it. At 8, climbing 2 places, step into the 1800s wizarding world in Hogwarts Legacy. As a student holding a dangerous secret, you will make choices that shape the fate of the wizarding world. Discover magic, battle dark wizards, and live out your own Hogwarts story. Still fairly tough to run on the Steam Deck even after all this time, but there are some mods that can help, and with the implementation of FSR 2 or 3, we are getting closer to that 60 frames per second that we all dream of, and things are getting much more stable. Diving down 4 places to number 7, Dave the Diver blends exploration, resource management, and adventure. Dive into the blue hole by day and catch exotic sea creatures, and manage a sushi restaurant at night. Your decisions in and out of the water will determine your success. This has had several patches and optimizations as well as major content patches, and this now runs at a solid 60 frames per second on both the Steam Deck LCD and OLED. Does seem to be capped there, but is much better than it was at launch, where it was more playable at 30. At 6, dropping 1 place out of the top 5, Stardew Valley offers a charming escape to the countryside. Inherit a farm, cultivate the land, and build a home in this heartwarming simulator. With rich characters and engaging tasks, your simple life is filled with deep surprises. No surprises that this runs at a solid 60 frames per second on the LCD and 90 on the OLED, and as the TDP is so low on this one, you're going to get a good 5 to 6 hours gameplay as well. At 5, down 3 places, explore Night City in Cyberpunk 2077. A metropolis of glamour and conflict. As a mercenary, your choices in missions, alliances, and upgrades define your journey in this visually stunning RPG. After the 2.0 patch, this was pretty rough, but with 2.11 we have seen major improvements and getting it back up to that 30 to 40 frames per second mark, even in Dogtown, and we will update our performance video on this soon, as 2.11 has made some major improvements. Leaping up 7 places to number 4, Monster Hunter World, possibly due to the fact that Monster Hunter Rise was out of action for a bit. Monster Hunter World immerses you in a realm of colossal creatures. As a hunter, track and battle monsters using your spoils to craft powerful gear. Each hunt is a heart-pounding encounter in diverse habitats. This is a bit more hard to run than Monster Hunter Rise, but you will still get a decent 40 to 50 frames per second on medium settings, although it does still look a little bit blurry on the deck. Back up 3 places, rise as the Tarnished and traverse a vast and connected world in Elden Ring. Engage in intense combat, explore dungeons, and uncover secrets. Your journey to become Elden Lord is filled with challenges and breathtaking discoveries. Running even better than ever on the Steam Deck these days, with 30 to 40 frames per second on high settings, but you can get closer to 50 and 60 now with a blend of low and medium. A stunning new entry taking the world by storm jumps in at number 2 with a staggering daily Steam player count over 1.3 million players. Palworld is a survival adventure where you fight and build alongside creatures called pals. In a world of scarcity and danger, tough choices are key to survival, including the heart-wrenching decision to sacrifice your pals. Running at 30 to 40 frames per second and best played on a dedicated server, we have our own. If you're interested, check out the Discord. Holding on to the top spot though for a 5th month running and maintaining a daily active player count over 144,000 players on Steam, Baldur's Gate 3 plunges you into a world of conflict and transformation. Your journey as a monster in the making intertwines with the destiny of diverse companions. Shape the Forgotten Realms with your choices and bonds you forge. Even in Act 3 you are pretty much able to get 30 to 40 frames per second now, and with some of the FSR 2 and 3 mods coming, you're going to be able to run this at 40 to 50 frames per second, and it's only going to get better. That's the most played games on Steam Deck for January. Let us know what your most played game was on the Steam Deck last month and what you want to see in this list next month. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.